I think in terms of sectoral B schools that you have in the country, and in terms of the ethos, the reason why it was created, the reason why a B school exists, if I have to put those things in perspective, I'll put two institutes right on top because of the need for which they were created and how they're serving the national purpose. One is IRMA, two is IIFM. Because forest is so important for all of us. Our green cover is important, our environment is important, our ecology is important. And what IIFM aims to do and works to do is to ensure that young people like you take up to that kind of management course, which actually adds not just to your career path, but goes much beyond that in terms of societal cause and national cause. So I just wanted to add this, that IRMA and IIFM in my head are always right on top in terms of the reason why they exist and the reason for which they're created.
See, Indian Institute of Forest Management is a Government of India institution under the Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change. And we are the only institution in this part of the world. I would really appreciate the visionary leadership of those times, that they could think through in the future and figure out the need for such an institution, given the climate change scenario across the globe, and sustainability, biodiversity conservation, environmental issues getting importance everywhere, including in the business and the corporate world. So this institution was set up with an idea to sort of provide human resource needs of the country for the environment, climate change, sustainability related issues. And it was set up in 1982, and it initiated its first flagship PG program in the forestry management. And this is the only program, to our understanding, in this part of the world in the forestry management. And since then, 32 batches are out, and there are roughly 1,650 odd professionals working across the sectors in the finance, banking, marketing, and natural resource management. Something about the infrastructure at IIFM, you would be really pleasant to know that IIFM is on some 230 acres of lush green campus. It's a natural forest area adapted to the needs of an academic institution. And it's a perfect sort of enabling environment for learning, skill development, learning both management as well as the interconnectedness and interdependence of the human and the nature and the ecosystems. So as I mentioned, we have two flagship programs now. The first program in forestry management was launched in 1988, and 32 batches with 100% placement. They are already out, and we have 33rd and 34th batch of 80 plus students in the first and the second year of the program. It's AICT approved. We have the second program that we launched 3 years back in the sustainability management. And as many of the potential candidates would be knowing, that sustainability is an emerging domain. Every company, small, medium, or big, they need a sustainability division, and they need sustainability professionals to bring about the sustainability concept into core of their business strategies. And therefore, this program is uniquely sort of designed where professionals, they learn the managerial, technical, analytical, and social skills, all sort of integrated in this 2 years program. We also have a fellow program in management, and that's again adapted to the natural resource management and sustainability, or environmental proactivism of the corporate. We are also a nodal center for doctoral program of the Forest Research Institute, Dehradun, which is a flagship, again, research institution of the country, very old research institution. So what's unique about this program? So there are two broad aspects. One is it's a blend of management discipline and the natural resources and the sustainability. It provides a sort of 70% of all the management disciplines, all the functional areas of management, as you would sort of have in a general business school. On top of that, it has uniqueness of sort of providing an interface between the nature and the business. So 30% of the component, the whole course, is of sustainable natural resource management and the sustainability aspect. The second important uniqueness about this institution is its multidisciplinary faculty. Now, in order to help students learn and gain those kinds of skill sets to appreciate the interlinkages and interconnectedness of the nature and the business and the society, you need the faculty specializing in those areas. So we have all functional areas as you would find in a general management school, be it marketing, finance, HR, information technology, quantitative techniques, finance. But in addition to that, we also have specialized faculty areas in terms of ecosystem, environment management, sustainable natural resource management, sustainability, and the sociology, anthropology. So these two things put together, in fact, make this institution and its flagship programs unique. Now, how to get into IIFM2pg programs? As you know that the first screening is through the CAT or JAT. So those of you who have already written CAT 2021 or JAT 2022 or both, you can apply to IIFM through its website, and then we will have personal interviews that would primarily focus on looking at your aptitude for these two programs. So you can visit to IIFM website and you can online apply, and you can get a lot of other information also from the website. So as I mentioned, for any other PG program, you have to be just bachelor in any discipline with a minimum of 50% marks for general category, 45% in case of reserved categories. And we, in fact, being the Government of India institution, we abide by all the legal requirements of the reservation categories and have a valid CAT 2021 or JAT 2022 score. You are eligible for the IIFM2pg programs. Having filled the application form, then we will screen these students. We will call for personal interviews. And one of the key aspects of judging for our two programs is, in addition to their performance in these competitive exams, is their aptitude, their interest for the sector, because this is a sectoral program. If you look at the fee structure, though it's a national program and it's a very well established program, the PGDM particularly, but still we have kept the fee, which is really affordable to the people who really have aptitude to work in the lap of the nature, I would say, working for the people, working for the tribal people, working for the nature which does not have a voice. And therefore, we have kept the fee very, very affordable. Looking at the placement, so as I mentioned, we are a sectoral management institute, but our presence is all across the sectors, be it you name any kind of industry sector or the business, IIFM graduates are there, whether it is banking or they are IT sector, the mining companies, or they are all major, if I mention, all the major consulting firms in the country, the IIFMs are there. So they go not only in different functional areas. In fact, many of the IIFM, they are into core banking, they are into core marketing, they are into core marketing research. Many of these students are in the HR areas. But the niche is, as Mahesh said in the beginning, he used the term that these cater to the niche sectors. Every organization of whatever size, they have now an environmental or sustainability division. And that's where the other day we were having a webinar 2 weeks back. One of alumnus organized it, and we had the people from KPMG, Deloitte, Ernst & Young, and they all said that within next 2 to 3 years we need 1,000 professionals in the sustainability arena. So I think our visionary leaders who created this institution, now it's the time for actually delivering. So 1,000 professionals in the ESG sustainability arena is what the sector is looking for, the industry is corporates, consulting organizations are looking for. Looking at the placements of last batch, these are the averages for the two programs. And as I mentioned, the PGDSM program is actually the future program. And we just started with a small batch size, but as we are having now the third batch in the campus, both second and third batch in the campus. The first batch was out. It was a very small batch, but the kind of offers that are coming this year, the second batch, it was already almost all 60-70% students were already placed before the placement week. So I would say that given the fee structure and the placement, IIFM really makes one of the best choice in terms of return on investment for the potential candidates. Since our placement process is still on, and of course, majority of the students are already placed. So this is the scenario for the PGDFM, PGDSM 2021-23 batch students. And already you can see that there is a 20-30% hike in the average. And we have got an excellent foreign offer from Aaron Global, that's a 30 lakh per annum offer. And we are getting new sort of organizations also, like Byju's has also recruited 2 students from this batch. The process is on, still we don't have the final sort of figures, so they have not made formal offers. So this is the scenario for the summer internships for the passing out batch. These were the kind of organizations where they had first-hand exposure to work as interns. So you can see there is a wide range of organizations, be it corporate sector, NGOs working for the nature ecosystems conservation, as well as other kind of foundations, a lot of foundations, and also new venture companies. So the students really have a very wide sort of choice in terms of wherever they have their interest to. So this institute and this program, it just do not provide opportunities for building a career, but it provides opportunity to build their future, their life, where their interest lies. Some of our esteemed alumnus. Mr. Vineet Rai, he manages 7,000 crore rupees of venture fund, and he's the founder of Aviskar Group. Within the same group, there's an IntelliCap, Santosh Singh, who is heading, and fortunately he will be available. He's already there, so we'll be interacting in case some of the aspirants, if they want to sort of interact. So we requested him, and thankfully he's available. You can Google and you will find Mr. Pranay Lal. He's the best-selling author. So we have our students, they are in the top management institutes in the country as faculty in world's well-known institutions globally. They are there in the world institutions, including World Bank, and they are in the top corporate organizations at very senior positions. And many of them, they are actually the entrepreneurs. From the first batches, they are on the top of the entrepreneur list, but there are many who have just started from last 3 to 5 years batches. So this is just a glimpse of the alumni in different sectors and the kind of position they hold. So if you talk of banking sector, talk of the multilaterals, and in the consulting and advisory services. For more information, you can sort of log on to our alumni website about the IIFM and the admission process. You can log on to IIFM website and look at the profile of the faculty. As I mentioned that our core competence as an institution is both a very strong alumni base and a very sort of accomplished faculty in terms of research publications and their domain expertise in teaching.
I'll summarize my experience in 3 parts. I like why I went to IIFM, what I did after that, and what I'm doing right now. That would give you a glimpse of that whole thing. Many of the things that Dr. Yadav just highlighted. So, 2003 is the time when I joined IIFM. I'm from 2004, 2006 batch. And I had a number of offers from Delhi School of Economics and MDI and others. And primary reason to choose IIFM at that point of time was I loved the campus when I walked into for the GDPI, and the course combination was such a unique thing. At that point of time, I thought, okay, I can study a lot of things everywhere, but this combination of environment and management and kind of nature, it's a very unique combination. So that was what attracted me. And I had a very simple question: will I get placed after spending time there? Somebody told me that, unless or until you slap the recruiter, you will get placed. So that they were that confident about the placement. So I okay, well, I walked into that. And then it was a dream ride after that. I moved from my campus to do internship in West Africa, and I got a PPO there. So they got me a very nice offer. It was Olam, one of the biggest name, I think, in the campus, first day recruiter. So they recruited me. I stayed there for a year, and I realized that that's not the career I want to build. I came back to work for a think tank in Chennai. Mr. Nachiket Moore, the then deputy MD of ICICI Bank, was setting a very innovative financial inclusion, kind of thing. So from corporate, I came back to that role, and I led their rural market insight practice. And that was a very, very exciting part of my career, because I was recruiting from all over the world, getting the best professors to work with from there. So that was second part. Then I moved to the World Bank and GIG, so German Development Corporation. It was known as GTZ. So I joined them, and I worked very closely with MNRE to step up the strategies and policies for the renewable energy in India. Sort of solar story that you are seeing. So we focused on that. Then moved to the World Bank. And after all of that, I decided that in World Bank, I was looking at the climate change portfolio and energy access for the World Bank in South Asia. And then I moved to Intellica. So that's a journey, and I'll let you know what I think I'll tell you what I do right now. So I'm part of Aviskar Group. We are a $1.2 billion asset under management, and we do two things. We provide capital to the entrepreneur to succeed in doing what they can do best for the planet and people, and we provide advisory and support services so they can succeed. So provide the capital and help them succeed. That's number two. I lead the work on energy, climate, and agriculture, which consists of advisory, investment banking, and a networking platform called Sankal. Intellicap has offices across the global south. So we have 3-4 offices in India, and we have an operation in Nairobi. I lead the entire global practice. In my current role, I basically advise the government, corporates, how they can be sustainable, how they can meet environmental goals of net zero, how they can be more friendly to environment, and how they can preserve the climate better. It's a complete for-profit. You can think of the work we do, the kind of resources that we hire for completing that work come from all kind of B schools. But we do see an IIFM graduate having an edge, because they understand these terms much better than anybody who has done a sustainability course in a normal MBA program for, say, 1 month. So I see that upbringing gets them on a pedestal. And that has been my journey. And in terms of, I think I see a lot of aspirants who are looking at environment. I also happen to be one of the, kind of leading practitioners of ESG and net zero. So my practice is pretty much quite well known. We have clients like Unilever and the World Bank and number of governments. I would suggest that sustainability, which many people understand, is that, okay, you need to do that because it is a good thing to do. Now, what is happening is that the discourse has changed. That sustainability is a good business. You do sustainability because it's a business, not because it's a good thing to do. So somebody who is supplying solar energy is not doing because solar energy is good, because solar energy is much more better business than being into a fossil fuel business. You make money. So the role that I cut across is a strategy, providing kind of implementation support and knowledge leadership to the space. So if you ask me, had I if I go to the same route and choose IIFM again, I will do that again, because I don't have any regrets. And I could also see that there are many people in my team. I recruit Mahesh from ISB and other institutions, all the premier institutions across the global south. And they are very surprised that, why such institutions is not known to us. Why, I know financial modeling and not climate modeling, because I learned financial modeling on Excel where I have 20 variables. Climate modeling talks about 100 variables and much more than that we have. So I think there is a lot of awareness that is needed. But right now, for an IIFM graduate, has been the best time to kind of come to the sector and work on that with the climate goals, with the sustainability focus, with the focus on not a skill set that is very deep, but focus on the skill set that is deep and wide. So you can talk about finance, but you can also talk about forestry. You can talk about the sustainability. You can talk about the human dimension to that. So I'll stop here, but happy to answer any questions. And you can find me on Google, whatever, Twitter, Instagram, wherever. Santosh Singh is my name. Happy to answer questions later on.
Thanks so much, Santosh. Thanks, Dr. Yadav, for giving this intro and also bringing Santosh in here. Santosh, the first question I'll ask you, I think these words of social equity and making the world a more fairer world and all are things that a lot of us believe in, but ultimately it has to also make a career path for students.
Yeah.
Right. So what do you think is a typical profile of a student who should choose institutions like you? Earlier you talked of Nachiket Moore. He created IFMR, which is one of the better microfinancing B schools that you can actually think of in the country, right?
Okay.
So what is the typical kind of a profile of a student who should choose the IFM kind of a B school?
I would say that I am not the kind of the template of a career for an IIFM graduate. There are many career templates that you can find. People have gone into banking. People have done activism. People have become a very, very non-traditional career path. But I would suggest that where you can get maximum out of an IIFM kind of course. So what kind of people would get maximum out of? If you think that you want to look at the cutting edge emerging issues that is going to shape the future. So you're talking about the businesses that would be not only producing money, but also look at other three dimensions. Then IIFM equips you to that. I would say that I would not say, okay, you should go there or not. You should say what kind of a skill set will differentiate. So if people are looking at more of a strategic nature of jobs where you have a wider horizon in your view, and you see multiple things and say, okay, I can guide this, I can guide this. So visionaries and other kind of students would benefit a lot. And that's the reason why you see a lot of, IIFM graduates decide to take a very non-traditional career path or become an entrepreneur because they have a vision. That's one part. Second is that when you look at the, skill set that IIFM provides, the skill sets are such that it's a very unique combination of empathy, interaction with a very different state of society. So an IIFM graduate would be at home when it interacts with a rural customer as well as somebody who is a CEO of a multinational, because the scope has been there. So they have been, that's second. Third is the intellectual curiosity. This is the role that many B school dumb down, but IIFM exposes you to so many diverse intellectual discourses that you can very well position yourself as an intellectual who is shaping that agenda. Now, having said that, when people go to IIFM career, I'll tell you what kind of people who are looking for a very, very linear path of career growth, right? I would say that, probably you can do much better somewhere there. IIFM gives you, because you play with so many variables, a very, very non-linear career path. I can tell you, I started with a corporate, did a very hardcore commodity trading in West Africa. I jumped to policy, almost policy advocacy, then went on to shape the government policies and give money from the World Bank to some of the most, touted names from the CV. And now I'm talking about climate strategy. I never looked at, okay, I'm in a corporate, I'll go there. So, but people have gone to become investment banker here. So curious, looking for intellectual kind of stimulations and looking to say that I'm going to make a very unique career. I would say that's the hallmark of a successful and very good IIFM, because otherwise you will be questioning why I'm studying forestry if I have to become a banker, right? If intellectually you're curious, what is the linkage between the forest and the bank, then probably you will be more suited to IIFM. Otherwise you say, okay, fine, if I have to become a banker, I'll focus on the other F of finance and let it go. So I hope I answered your question.
Yeah. Dr. Yadav, this is meant for you, sir. I saw the companies that are there, and I saw ICICI Foundation and not ICICI Bank, right? Maybe ICICI Bank also is coming for all that. I don't know about that, right? But when I saw the typical names of the companies, what is the typical profile? So one is to say that they work in ICICI or KPMG or PwC or whatever it is, EY and McKinsey, whatever you can call it. But what is the typical kind of profile of job roles that your students get in these companies?
Yeah, as Santosh Singh clarified, no. So when they are going into ICICI Bank, so they are not going just as an expert on financial issues. They are going with much more wider exposure in terms of how a rural customer is different from an urban customer. If they are going into, let's say, the microfinance, so they know the in-depth understanding of the rural economy. They understand the nitty-gritty of how what are the specific needs of them. If they are going to, let's say, for KPMG, they may be doing some hardcore research, also marketing research, or maybe general strategy. But the typical kind of, they would be looking at the impact, whether it is a social impact or the ecological impact. So they can see it from the lens of the multiple stakeholders that the business is sort of talking about. So the students from IIFM, they will not look at just one stakeholder, whether it is customer or the shareholders, or it is a supplier, or it is a downstream sort of value chain partners, but they will look at the whole system. It's a very holistic approach actually that the IIFM students will be taking.
Just to
Manmohan sir, I think Mahesh asked a very slightly different question. So Mahesh, if you allow me, I can answer that, because I also was part of the ICIC team. So typically, if you look at IIFM graduates, and I'm also a recruiter, so I know where IIFM graduates would fit in. So compared to other B schools, any job that requires you to understand rural, understand the different kind of nuances of society, so that we're talking about social angles, environmental angle, IIFM graduates get a very straight entry, right? So the roles could be, it would be the same, like a manager role, assistant manager role, anything, but the profile would be that they would be saying, okay, if this is rural banking, an IIFM graduate is a better suited there, exactly. Right? So that's the answer. Slightly more to that, to just give you the flavor of other company that we recruit. In any job which basically looks at, the skills which are more towards the understanding the ecosystem better, the wider ecosystem, where you're not talking about only the straight jacket approach of the corporate, then you're looking at IIFM graduates. So that's why you will see them in a CSR role, you will see them into a community engagement role, you will see them into a consulting role, government project consulting, government advisory, because they require slightly broader horizon.
Right. Just to take that forward, Santosh, you use two words, or rather three words, I'll link them together. You use the word empathy somewhere around. Then you talked of rural. Then you said IIFM students have an edge.
Yeah.
Right. Is there anything which is a project or a part of your course curriculum that makes students go to rural India, understand empathy? How do you deal with that situation?
Since I'm a student, I'm better equipped to answer that than Dr. Manmohan, because
Yes,
he did not go to IIFM. I went to IIFM. His courses he designed. Yeah, but I think quickly, I don't know how things have changed, so Dr. Manmohan can answer that. I graduated slightly, almost a 2 years back. So in my time, there used to be a component of 1 month of field immersion. So I spent 1 month in Tamil Nadu. Okay. Imagine a Bihari guy spending 1 month in Tamil Nadu, working with Tamil Nadu Forest Department, learning about the the native people and what challenges they face. So that's we go to do an exposure thing for 1 month you stay. So that basically you live on the ground to understand. Then there are 2 organizational training right now where you spend time into an institution where you have an assignment. First part is just kind of experience and you provide but in the second part of the organizational training, you solve a problem for the institution, you work there. So there are 3 components: 2 summer trainings and 1 field work that basically equipped us. There are many people in my batch who were seeing the forest or a village for the first time in their life because they were from the north of the park. So that equips us.
Yeah, just to add on to what Santosh Singh said, in fact, we have in addition to summer intensive, we have 1 industry attachment and we have 1 field work. So what he was referring to the field work. So for example, just now the senior batch, they have been from the Keystone Foundation in Tamil Nadu. Yeah. So they were exposed to various kinds of the way the NGO works, the tribals they work, their lifestyle, their dependence on the nature, the kind of sort of value chain that the NGO creates for their products. The second organization, for example, Pradhan, which is in Hosangabad near to Bhopal itself. So this is well known, and it was one of the IIFM alumnus itself. They founded this Pradhan, and they work for the rural economy. They work for the agriculture sector. They work for the other kind of industry. So they spent the whole 2 to 3 weeks time with these NGOs, how they work with the people. So that exposure, they will get exposure to the kind of socioeconomic dependence on forest, socioeconomic dependence on the agriculture sector, and many various other sectors of the rural economy. Similarly, they are exposed to other kind of organizations where they work in the forest, they look at the wildlife and the human wildlife sort of interactions. Sustainability students, they went for an industry attachment where they actually worked with the municipal corporation of Indore, this batch of 18-20 students. They went to many other industries and they looked at how they are actually managing their waste. What kind of waste is being generated, for example, in a pharma company? What are their inputs? What are the kind of pollutions the pharma industry creates and how they are actually managing those sort of waste or pollutions. So they have a direct interaction with, so they were attached to for a week to the municipal corporation of Indore, and they looked at various kinds of, whether it is solid waste management, it is water waste management, or the kind of air pollution, how they are measuring and what steps the municipal corporation is taking. So this kind of emulsion that Santosh talked about, I think they get the first-hand exposure to what the industry is doing, what the NGOs are doing, and where is the real interface between the planet and the business and the society.
So I'll start coming to the brass tacks, which is what the students are looking for in terms of information from you. How do you normalize a CAT score and EXAT score, sir? Because you're taking students from both CAT, XAT and all. And what's the weightage of those scores in the entire admission process?
We use it as one of the criteria in our overall selection process. So I'm not saying that we are not giving due sort of weightage to these scores, but our major criteria is their aptitude for the sector. So even if some student is with slightly lower CAT score, but has excellent interest, the aptitude for the sector, we would prefer that student.
Is there any layering of how the student in hierarchy falls down or goes up in terms of his choice of what he or she wants to do?
I think as it's a new program and it's not yet well known among the potential aspirants. So obviously, and also you don't have the kind of alumnus that we have, almost 1,650 alumni of the PGDFM batch, whereas the PGDSM we just started 3 years ago, and we had a small size batch. So definitely initially first year and second year there was more, slightly more preference for the PGDFM student, but as the admission process is going on for this 22-24 batch, I can see that almost now 50% students have interest in the PGDSM program, because now there seems to be some sort of information reach out, as well as there seems to be some traction. So there is already sort of a discussion going on with the batch that has passed out and the 2 batches that are in the campus. So some dialogue is going on. So I think in the times to come, the sustainability program probably would become the mainstream program. But of course, the forestry or natural resource management program will continue.
And in terms of gender diversity, sir, is there any skew that you have? Because forest management is supposed to be slightly more physical, is the thought in many students' minds. So
not really.
Okay.
We are in fact a mini India. As an institution, we have students from more than 20 states.
Yeah.
And I think we have 35%, in fact, 35% the female students.
Okay. So in terms of gender diversity, you are better than what a typical B school would be. Am I right in
I think so. Yes, definitely.
Yeah. Okay. And
in both the programs.
Yeah. And in terms of scholarships that are available for access and affordability, would you mind explaining what are the kind of scholarships that you have for students based on merit, sir?
We have one scholarship. In fact, for the reserved category students, the institute is already listed among the top 100 plus institution of higher education, where the SC and ST student, they get a scholarship from the respective ministry. So their complete fee is covered, their hostel expenses, they get even the digital devices also. Majority of the SC, ST students, they are covered under that. For other students, we have sort of monthly scholarship of 5,000 rupees. And I think about 20-25% students, they qualify for that. It is both. Earlier it used to be based on just merit. Now we have made it merit means basis criteria for this scholarship. And top of that, the fee is very affordable.
Yes, sir. What's the fee, sir?
It's for the coming year, it will be 7,88,000 rupees for the general category for both the programs.
For both the years.
For the reserved category, it is around 4 lakh.
Okay. And sir, what are the kind of hostel facilities you have within the program?
Yeah, we have for all these students, we have the hostel facility. All these students, they will be sort of having the.
So it's compulsory within.
Yes, it's under residential. It's compulsory. Even somebody is from Bhopal, he will have to stay in the campus only, except for this pandemic period.
Okay. And sir, a lot of students also look for campus life. So would you mind throwing some light on the kind of campus life that students of IIFM have, sir?
I think there's a lot of learning that goes beyond the class.
Yeah, that's right.
There are about 7-8 faculty also reside in the campus in addition to the hostel wardens. So I think they really love the campus life.
Santosh,
I mean, they have interactions. So just I'll take a few seconds,
yes,
and I think Santosh will be able to tell that better. He has enjoyed that life himself.
Yeah.
So what I was saying, I mean, even as faculty also will just sit down along with the water body and we'll have interaction with some of the students. Many more students will come and join. Some of the interactions after the class, particularly when discussing the cases, no. So if some of the students will not have a next class, I will continue those interactions sitting in along with the water side. We'll find students working late night, and they are across the campus. Sometime you will not find them. There are students inside the forest areas, and they are sitting 2-3 students. They are just discussing. I think it's a wonderful life over here. It's a perfect enabling environment for learning.
Santosh, over to you. See, what I'm looking for, Santosh, is that, I actually passed through IIFM a few years back, and I was swooning over it, saying, why the heck did I not study here? And what I mean to say is that there are a few campuses that you fall in love with. One of them is TAPME in Manipal, Bangalore, right? The other one was this one. Some of these campuses, they make you feel jealous of everyone who studied there, right? So just explain your campus life experience.
So I told you in the first line itself that I looked at the campus and joined that, right? I had many other institutions, I had pretty decent CAT score, and I had gone through. So I think campus life is, as vibrant as it can be. One is that it is meant for like every kind of people that they walk in. Some people loves to kind of mingle with people. So lots of things to do. And there are lots of people, since it's a compulsory residential, so you have everybody in the campus, so you interact with them. The second is that if you are those guys who are looking for solitude and explore and do something new, so you can do world watching, you can just roam around tracking and just enjoy photography. It's one of the very beautiful campus to hone your photography skills if you're not done that. So that's there. The other thing is that, I think it doesn't come that out, Mahesh. I think, considering we have worked in sector for 20 years, we have seen the many other schools, alumni and colleagues who work there. The IIFM alumni community bond is probably one of the best that you can get. One, I think pandemic, be the placement scenario, anything, one mail, I basically thrive on my alumni connect. I drop a mail that I need some support in World Bank and DC, and I will get 4 people to say, okay, come here. For a small institution to have this kind of very strong alumni network, and not network that they're powerful, they're willing to help. So campus life for us was I think you already summarized it. Why I did not study that kind of scenario. If somebody goes, there is a brilliant campus. Beautiful. The hostels are very spacious, properly managed. You see the view from the hostel, and you can get on the rooftop of the, guest house, and you can see the whole. So I don't see that people should be, forest is a misnomer for many of us saying that, okay, I want a very active campus life. IIFM provides that. It was more active than I can explain on this call with Dr. Yadav on this. So it is as active as it can be in any B school.
No, I always tell students, because students are here, let me explain where I come from. I think when you want to look for an institution to get yourself into, look at their legacy and look at their alumni network. If the legacy and alumni network is good, then everything else is taken care of, because what you're studying is not for 2 years in the campus, but living outside it for the next 50, 60 years and using that to not just move yourself, but handhold, support, be the ears and confidant, and also there are many things. So from me, whenever I talk of some of the institutions that like IIFM itself or IRMA or TAPME and all, I feel very good with the kind of campus, the networks that you build, alumni networks that you build, which will help you, aid you, support you, be with you, stand with you, sit with you, and all through your journey. So that's where I come from.
Yeah.
Dr. Yadav, do you have regular alumni meets, sir? Dr. Yadav?
Yeah, definitely. We have every year.
Okay.
And in fact, there are some batches, they come at their own.
Okay.
They come in groups, they will just send an email, we are coming, we need guest house, and we'll be there for 3 days, 4 days, 5 days. We do have annual alumni meet, and then we have many other interactions. In fact, now there's a full-fledged office of the alumni cell. And just I wanted to add what Santosh was saying. We just sent a sort of request to Santosh, I think just a couple of hours back, and he's there. I mean, that's the kind of commitment. Yeah. You know how busy he is, and he's handling.
I had to cancel 2 meetings, sir. I had to cancel 2 meetings, but I said, okay, let me get back. Mahesh, also for the alumni, there are different concentration of alumni across the different cities in India, and Delhi, Mumbai, Bangalore, and Chennai, and all of that. And you will see that Delhi, we conduct an alumni meet every month. So every month, the Delhi alumni come together. And the second point you said about the strength of the network, I should not name it, but there are 3-4 IFS officers in our senior alumni who basically are the ambassador equivalent in different countries, or 4 or 5 very senior bureaucrats and others. So it's also that, and it's not that they themselves are very, very powerful, but also they're very willing to help. So goes without saying. Yeah.
No, I think alumni really works because I'm a part of a network myself. I was an investment banker long back. Yeah. So once I was looking at a merchant banker, and I just put it on a group, and 30 people called up saying, hey, this is correct.
Absolutely.
And that's what I tell students is not just about your 2-year work ex, but how you carry the alumni network. That's extremely important. And that's where the legacy comes in. Because when you have more number of alumni in the world, around the world, then you actually have more people willing to help and aid you in that sense. Dr. Yadav, anything else that you would want to tell the students who are looking at us at this point in time? Because I'm taking questions, some of the questions that I posed are from them actually, which we received much earlier.
Yeah, I just wanted to add, Professor Advait Edgaonkar himself is an alumnus of IIFM. If you can just sort of would like to listen to him or ask 1 or 2 questions from him.
And one before that, Dr. Yadav, what are the international collaborations that your institution has, which is very important for students?
Yeah, we have international collaborations with the multinational organizations. We have with some institutions.
If I may say so, sir.
Yeah, we have with the, for example, University of Toronto on the sustainable natural resource management. Informally with Yale University, with other universities.
So do your students go there and study, or the faculty comes here and teaches? What exactly is the collaboration?
It is primarily we have both. Some of the faculty, they have gone there, and in many other institutions, our students, they have studied, and many institutions, the students are working as faculty there. So we collaborate in terms of conducting joint training programs, conducting some joint research projects. And they also help other students getting admissions in the universities, their MS program or their PhD program.
Sir, a question that I have for you, sir. A lot of students keep asking, how does research help, their learning outcomes? Because research is, people are looking for placement, campus life and all, but research is something that they don't, I would want you to explain to them why research is important in terms of their learning, their processes, and how it actually helps them in the outcome also.
Fantastic. By strange coincidence,
yes,
I was just talking about this to my students like 3 hours ago. I was taking a research methodology class. So 2 types of research, types of help, essentially. One is that we actually have students who go to research organizations, for example, Sambodhi in Delhi, Care India, where there is 2-3 kinds of research. Impact evaluation takes place, or you have monitoring, or Santosh can tell us lots of kinds of research that people do. The other thing is, if you think of research as a means of finding out the truth about something as near as you can, then you can apply those methods, the so-called scientific methods or research methods, to any problem. whether it's a business problem, whether it's a social problem, or whether it's an interdisciplinary problem. So the kind of logic that, the way you think about solving problems, the steps you break it down into, the avoidance of mistakes. Okay, all that systematic stuff that you talk about, that is what research is about. It doesn't matter, it doesn't necessarily have to lead to a scientific problem. It could be a business problem that you're trying to solve. So that's, one thing about research. The other thing is, Santosh, I also passed out of this place way back, a couple of 100 years ago in 1993. Since then, I've had a slightly different career path than Santosh. And just to illustrate how people have different things, I was interested in wildlife. And, so I've, decided to study wildlife. I went to the University of Florida, I did a PhD there. And then I thought that, I should come back and try and, implement what I've learned in a, setting which combines my wildlife knowledge with the generalized knowledge that I got from my PGDM program. So if you think about ecosystem services, which are really important nowadays, you think about, it's the new buzzword, for example.
That's right.
Natural areas are providing us with a lot of services which can actually be quantified and valued, and they're of a direct benefit to mankind. And very, very important for us to be able to recognize these and bring it into our general economic framework. So our business world and our natural world are essentially embedded with each other, and it translates into welfare of human beings and money, essentially, not to find a point to it. So I think it's very important to be able to see that oneness of the natural world and the financial or the human anthropogenic created world. And IIFM is a great place to learn about these things. I absolutely have no regrets doing this all those years ago.
So I'll just put for the students' benefit what you're trying to explain as in terms of natural and financial world, sir. In Delhi, there were about 1,000 trees that are being cut to build something, and the Supreme Court ordered a ministry to actually value the number of trees that were cut and what's the value of that, and they put a value of 1.1 crore rupees per tree cut. So that's what I think you are referring to, if I'm understand. They are trying to put those two things.
Yeah. I mean, we could argue about the specifics, but yes,
I mean, exactly.
You have to, kind of think about nature and the economy in one framework, essentially.
Yeah. And sir, in terms of earlier I was talking to Dr. Yadav about the gender diversity, and as a government institution anyway, I think social equitable diversity is anyway they've inbuilt in the way you structure the whole thing. Then you have gender diversity. In terms of geographical diversity, do you manage to get students from all over the country?
All over the states.
Okay.
Earlier we used to have a SAARC quota also, so 5 students come from SAARC countries. But right now I think, but you can find students from all across the country, not only from central part of India.
So that's what I tell a lot of B students also. Go to a school where you actually have every Indian festival being celebrated, which means that there is complete diversity in the campus. So treat that, because the learning that you get out of diversity is nothing as compared to the learning that you get in a class of cohort which is all similar thinking, similar economically economics kind of people, right? So that's very important for you in a B school environment. Dr. Advait, you seem to be a very passionate wildlife person. The personality also rings a lot of bells for me. So would you mind telling the students of how your career path happened post IIFM, graduating from IIFM? Because you're an alumni, you can talk of that.
Sure. Yeah. So I was always interested in wildlife. Okay. And I was looking for a career essentially in wildlife research. After I did my master, I did my IIFM PGDM. I joined an NGO working in Gujarat with the Aga Khan Rural Support Program. I was looking at forestry projects. While doing that, I mean, I remembered that my primary passion was wildlife, and I wanted to kind of move my career towards that, which was not happening with the plantation and the rural development, kind of. So as a career, it was fine, but the wildlife component was missing. So I decided to go ahead and do a PhD. So I went off to the Wildlife Institute of India in Dehradun, got myself educated there, and then went off to the University of Florida to do a PhD. But since my heart was all the time in India, I decided to do my research in India. So I went to the US, did my coursework there, came back to central India and studied leopards. Okay, and I was looking at how leopards interact with their environment, technical wildlife stuff. Once I finished that, my kind of wildlife passion, I then, kind of started looking at the kind of career options were available, and very few career options available in technical wildlife stuff. Okay, you need to, kind of step back and look at broader society to be able to access. You can do very specialized things, but not, there's not too much more you can do. It's very satisfying. Running after leopards is a lot of fun, but doing that, for your entire life, you require a certain, kind of, a personality which I didn't have. So I decided to kind of move to academics, which I had already had a lot of training in, both from IIFM as well as from the University of Florida. And so I decided to join IIFM as a faculty member. And before that, I'd done lots of projects and with livelihoods, with wildlife, etc. So the point is that mine is not necessarily a typical IIFM graduate career, but then like Santosh says, there is no typical IIFM.
There is no linearity to the conversation.
Yeah, we're like a little bit different. Yeah. I'd like to think.
User one, I'll tell you one thing. Your question is, sir, my graduation college got shut down, so will it affect the admission procedure? The simple thing is not just about IIFM. Let me tell you about everything else in B schools. If you're a graduate, whether the graduation college exists or not doesn't matter. If you're a graduate, you're eligible. The eligible part of it is taken care of. So don't worry about that piece, because there are issues increasingly where some of the colleges are getting shut down and you passed out from that. Don't worry about that. As long as you have a valid qualification, everything further to that would be based on your merit and the way you perform in your interest as your profile that you have. So don't worry about that, user one. The second question is what I would request you to answer, Dr. Advait, if you can. I'm aspiring to join PGDM program this year. I'm currently pursuing a master's in commerce. How can I prepare myself for the program?
So yes, if you're doing a master's program, you've already, you're already in, you've finished your graduation. You are eligible for sustainability and PGDFM, both of them. So a BCom is perfectly fine. What we are actually interested very much, and we take a great deal of care in looking at, is your aptitude for these subjects. So we look at the kind of experience you have, not necessarily formal work experience, but if you've been volunteering in college, for example, we look at your knowledge about sustainability, about the general environment, things like that. And we have experienced faculty who've been looking at students for dozens of years. So that is what we care about much more than what percentile CAT you have. Of course, CAT percentile does help,
Yeah.
But because the career is such and the career path is such, we really care about your aptitude. Because otherwise, if we get a student who wants that linear path that Santosh mentioned, then they're going to get bored here and they're going to feel stifled and they feel, why have I come into this place? Okay. So we ought to make sure that doesn't happen.
Dr. Advait, another question. Is there any education loan facility that, is given to your students?
Absolutely. We have a bank on campus. So many of our students avail from a loan from that bank, but it doesn't have to be that bank. You can get a loan from any bank, and many of our students take loans, to finance their.
That's good. Dr. Yadav, this is for you, or Dr. Advait, you can also take this. The NBA accreditation, this seems to be a student who's really researched on you a lot more. He says the NBA accreditation is for PGDFM and not for PGDSM. Is there any reason for that?
See, NBA accreditation can happen only when the program has run at least for minimum 3 years.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. Yeah.
3 to 5 years. So we are not eligible to apply for NBA accreditation.
Yeah. So, which is what always the case is. Accreditation is extremely important. More than ranking, I'd always go for accreditation. But accreditation is normally done for, I think, 5 years. Dr. Yadav says 3 years, maybe it's 3 years. But that's the reason why the PGDSM program, because it's a new program, doesn't have an accreditation at this point in time. I think we'll wind up now, Dr. Advait. Is there anything that you want to tell the students as we speak?
Yes. One is, please, if you're interested in our, programs and institute, please go ahead and take the trouble to contact alumni. Make an informed choice of whatever you are, whether you want to join or don't want to join. Please make an informed choice. Go ahead, use Google. you'll find lots and lots of alumni. We have a very strong alumni network. We have very helpful alumni who will definitely take the time out to email you back, or get in touch with you and explain you things. So you can describe what your career aspirations are, what your fears are, what you think you want to do, and alumni will definitely be a good place for you to decide on whether you want to come to this place.
One more thing I'll also add here is that it's a small effort for you to make, because it's going to determine your future and your career path and life possibly. If possible, try to visit the campus. There is no other experience than visiting the campus and feeling the campus by yourself. It just takes a couple of days for you, but try to do that, and it will really help you in that.